Right as I was turning on the camera, I started thinking about showing up messy here and how important that is to probably preserve. I don't really want to make this a place where I feel like I'm getting dressed up for it. I mean, if it fits where I'm, dressed for something else or something, then that's fine. But I feel like preserving some amount of reasonable messiness is important here. Oh, I didn't do my candle yet. Um, Especially if and as I share this more from a professional standpoint, which I think is really valid. I think it's really valid to use this series, project, whatever you want to call it, and share it in different networks that I'm in. I think that's really important, and I think showing up messy is kind of part of the idea. There is something I everything has a place and a context or whatever you want to say. So it's totally fine that there are certain work environments that always require a degree of polishedness and not messiness. That's totally fair and reasonable, but I think the expectation that we're always on and we're always at, some major level of polish isn't really fair to ourselves. And yeah, I think a premise that I want to explore more is, I guess, a question of the need for self-disclosure, intimate self-disclosure in digital, virtual, public spaces. That I think the more that we become intertwined with technology, the more it's going to be necessary for the human psyche to have ways of disclosure or ways of intimacy with our digital selves, and it's kind of part of self-formation. So yeah, staying a little messy here is definitely important to me. And now I don't really feel like talking about anything that I was thinking about earlier this morning. Ooh. I think I might have videos here in the future that are not really speaking or just have no speaking at all, and maybe have me practicing music, or I have some yarn here, like practicing some sort of knitting or crochet or something like that, or drawing, and having that be a form of accountability. Like, I don't necessarily think that there always has to be dialogue or words, especially thinking about like the morning pages time. I haven't actually read The Artist's Way, which I've said here. But it's totally fair if you set the time aside and you don't actually put words down, in my opinion. I know some people think like you have to write so many pages before you can call it good, but I just don't really see that or view that, or yeah, that's not really, I don't think that that's productive. I met someone and we were talking about writing, and they were like, oh, I'm mostly procrastinating writing. And my response is that even if you're not putting pen to paper, if you're a writer, or if writing is a big part of your work, even if you're not physically writing, you're still writing. So I do believe that. I think that, yeah. I was listening to Lauren Marling during my walk, and Laura Marling has an incredible Substack, which I didn't even know. I think I randomly, I don't know how I came upon it. I'm not sure, But I'm a big Laura Marling fan. I have been for a long time, and I didn't realize that she had kind of like expanded her work to writing, and now she has this series called The Tarot of Songwriting, which I'm just in love with. I think it's so beautiful. And yeah, I think tarot is really important for artists. I think I've definitely been in a place where I've kind of been a rejecter of tarot, but for any kind of like psycho spiritual work and art, I think it's really necessary. It's kind of an original archetype, like an original form of working with archetypes. So, hold on. Yeah, so for me, I think tarot decks remind us of the importance of working with archetypes, which is way more than just tarot. So like in Greek medicine and Greek psychology, whatever, archetypes were a huge part of that work. And then obviously Jungian psychology is huge about working with archetypes. And that's what tarot decks, I think, offer, specifically with major arcana. It's all just a way of using those archetypes to reflect on our inner worlds. So I think it's just really cool that she has a whole series about it. And I think that she's amazing. And yeah, I think for a while I hadn't really gotten past the whole idea of when someone does something or when someone creates work that you feel like you could never come close to how incredible it is, that kind of made me shut down and sort of think, well, I should just be an appreciator. And that's just such a self-limiting belief, and it's just so negative and not good. And I feel like I'm able to recognize that as inspiration now. And it's just really exciting to be able to see inspiration and know that I think I've been reflecting on the concept of source for a little while, but I haven't really talked about it. And I think that when we're inspired by something, we're recognizing it as a manifestation of source, and or that it's bringing us closer to like the source. And when we take that inspiration and then produce in its image, we are allowing ourselves to contribute to source. I feel like I don't really like talking about source because it gets so abstract, and I think you probably lose a lot of people because it's kind of like, what does that even mean? But you don't always have to. It's good to know that you don't have to make sense to everybody, because then when you do make sense to somebody and they do get what you're saying and where you're coming from, it's even more poignant and more powerful, and the connection means a lot more. So yeah, I'm just going to talk about source. And I feel like something that this morning pages space and this endeavor to be kind of like more free in my disclosure and exploration is allowing me to kind of have conversations with less trepidation or less holding myself back for fear of what is someone going to think, or am I going to be understood? And it's kind of just allowing me to respond better to people. And also when I'm having a conversation and I, go down a path that maybe they don't really understand as much or aren't as comfortable with, then I can kind of take that in stride a bit better. So yeah, I think this is a fluency exercise. This is an exercise in fluency in what I want to talk about, and thought formations and idea formations about what I care about. And then that in turn breeds confidence for being able to, have conversations about source and accept that not everyone is going to be on your same page or really care or have anything to say back. And then when you do have someone who wants to respond or is on your wavelength, it's just even more special and important. So working with inspiration is very, it's cool. It's exciting, and I think it's really necessary. It's kind of like it's like the gas tank, and it keeps you able to continue driving, especially with like a healthy relationship with inspiration, like I was just explaining. I think I might talk about Enneagram here, and like what I like about Enneagram and what I don't like about Enneagram. I think I'm going to do a deep dive into Enneagram. Anyway, I'll link as much as I can remember in the bio, but I will kind of link and reflect back Laura Marling's series. Okay.